General Hospital spoilers reveal that Michael will not be returning to Port Charles anytime soon, a piece of news that is stirring up many speculations and concerns within the community. Recent reports suggest that the heir to the Corinthos family has decided to extend his absence. Possibly due to new business opportunities or the need for self-exploration away from the complexities of Port Charles. This extended absence not only affects ELQ and the Corinthos businesses but also creates a void in the lives of those close to him, especially Willow and their children. Despite trying to stay positive, Willow has begun to show signs of stress as she faces the challenges of raising their children on her own while maintaining stability in their family. Other members of the Corinthos family, particularly Carly and Sunny, are also adjusting to compensate for Michael's absence in crucial family and business decisions. A new storyline regarding Sasha's pressure is truly adding to the adjustments being made. Pregnant and without Michael by her side, Sasha is facing numerous challenges. Both emotionally and financially, as well as socially. She has had to adjust her future plans, figuring out how to raise the child on her own while also dealing with gossip and public curiosity. This pressure has forced Sasha to rely on support from friends like Maxie and, especially, Jason, who has unexpectedly become her rock during these difficult months. Sasha has had to make tough decisions about continuing her modeling career while pregnant and how she will explain the situation to the child in the future. She also has to cope with judgment from some members of the Port Charles community, who do not understand or agree with her decision to keep the child without the father's presence. The story that Michael supports Jason becoming the father of Sasha's child is truly shaking things up in Port Charles. In a rare video call with Jason, Michael expressed his support for Jason and Sasha's decision, acknowledging that he cannot return and does not want the child to grow up without a father figure. Michael's decision shocked many, including Carly and Sunny, who had always hoped that Michael would return and take responsibility. Instead, Michael has chosen to let Jason, whom he has always seen as a role model, step into this role, a decision that shows a level of maturity and forgiveness many did not expect from the Corinthos heir. This shock not only alters family dynamics but also creates an unprecedented situation in the history of Port Charles. Jason Morgan, once the trusted right-hand man and protector, will now assume the role of father to the child of the man he has always considered his nephew. This has sparked a range of reactions within the community. Some admire Jason's sacrifice and kindness, while others are concerned about the long-term impact of this decision on family relationships, particularly on the unborn child. Carly, although initially shocked by Michael's decision, has gradually come to accept the new situation. She has begun to support Jason and Sasha, realizing that this could be an opportunity for Jason to experience fatherhood, something he missed with Jake many years ago. However, Carly still holds a quiet concern about how this decision might affect Michael in the future, especially if he decides to return to Port Charles. Sunny, on the other hand, has a more complex reaction. While he respects Michael's decision and trusts Jason's abilities, Sunny still feels a deep sense of loss. He had hoped Michael would return and take over the leadership role within the family and the Corinthos business. Michael's decision leaves a void that Sunny is unsure how to fill. Meanwhile, Jason has started preparing for his new role with caution and determination. He has begun attending prenatal classes with Sasha, reading books on parenting, and even started converting a room in his apartment into a nursery. Jason's transformation from a cold-blooded assassin to a caring future father has created an intriguing subplot that has caught the attention of many fans. However, not everyone supports this new situation. Some members of the Quartermain family, especially Ned, have expressed concern about Jason, with his violent past, assuming the role of father. They worry that this could put the child in danger and could affect the family's reputation. As the story continues to unfold, many questions remain unanswered. Will Michael truly give up the chance to be the father of what could be his child? How will Jason balance his new role with his work for Sunny? And most importantly, how will this decision affect the unborn child in the future? As Sasha's due date approaches, the tension and expectations in Port Charles are reaching a boiling point, promising dramatic developments in the months to come. Diane will act on Michael's behalf, an unexpected move that has caused much speculation and concern within the Port Charles community. As the trusted and longtime lawyer of the Corinthos family, Diane's sudden appearance with legal documents from Michael has raised many questions about the true intentions of the Corinthos heir. If the story is true that Michael plans to transfer all his assets to Jason, this is truly adding a new layer of trouble. This asset transfer is not just a financial decision but also a bold statement about Michael's trust and confidence in Jason. It could be seen as a way for Michael to ensure that Jason has enough resources to care for Sasha and the unborn child, while also distancing himself from the responsibilities and expectations tied to his role as the heir. One of the new complications involves how other members of the Corinthos and Quartermain families react to this news. Sonny, while respecting his son's decision, cannot help but feel a profound sense of loss. Michael's decision to transfer assets to Jason could be interpreted as a sign that he is cutting ties with his family and heritage. Carly, meanwhile, is torn between supporting her son's decision and worrying about his future. For the Quartermain family, this news has caused an earthquake. Ned and other members of the family are concerned that the asset transfer could affect their control over ELQ. They are exploring legal options to prevent or limit this transfer, which is creating a potential legal battle between the most powerful families in Port Charles. This new twist has come as a shock to Willow, who now realizes that Michael's decision will not only affect his future but also directly impact her and their children. Willow, who has already been struggling with raising their children alone while Michael is absent, now faces the prospect of losing the financial security that Michael's assets bring. She is grappling with feelings of betrayal and fear for the future, all while trying to understand the motives behind Michael's sudden decision. This shock has put Willow in a difficult position. On one hand, she wants to respect Michael's decision and trust that he has a good reason for his actions. On the other hand, she cannot help but feel hurt and worried about the future of their children. Willow is now debating whether to contact Michael directly for an explanation or to seek independent legal counsel to protect her and the children's interests. As news of Michael's decision spreads, it has created a wave of reactions in the Port Charles community. Many are questioning Michael's mood and true motivations. Is this a sign that he is experiencing a personal crisis? Or is this part of a bigger plan that only Michael and possibly Jason know? Meanwhile, Jason is facing new pressure and responsibility. Being entrusted with Michael's assets is an honor, but also a huge burden. Jason must consider how to use these assets wisely, all while preparing for any negative reactions from other members of the Corinthos and Quartermain families. As the situation continues to unfold, Port Charles is witnessing one of the most complicated and dramatic family sagas in the town's history. Michael's decision not only impacts his and Jason's future but could also shift the balance of power in the town. And as the involved parties continue to react and adjust, many more surprises and changes await. Willow is filled with doubt, her complex emotions stirring as she watches everything around her change. Michael's extended absence has not only left a gap in her family life but has also triggered a series of events she never thought she would face. Every night, as she looks at her sleeping child's face, Willow cannot help but wonder whether Michael's decision is truly in the best interest of their family, and whether she should continue to wait or take action for herself and their children. However, the new story about the pressures that Sasha and Jason are facing is causing Willow to desire some of Michael's rights for herself. As news about Michael's plans to transfer his assets to Jason becomes clearer, Willow begins to realize that her silence is not only affecting her but also the future of their children. Sasha, with her baby on the way, and Jason, with his growing role in the situation, are beginning to take the positions that Willow feels belong to her and her children. This anxiety has gradually transformed into a new determination. Willow will not stand by while her children's future is put in someone else's hands. The story of Willow joining forces with Drew to challenge Sasha and Jason is truly causing the GH storyline to explode, creating a power struggle that Port Charles has never seen before. Drew, believing he is acting in the best interest of ELQ and the Quartermain family, has found an unexpected yet strong ally in Willow. Their first meeting in Drew's office has opened up a new possibility. An alliance between the abandoned wife and the ambitious brother, both of whom feel they are being pushed to the sidelines. Drew has proposed a bold plan. Using Willow's stake in ELQ, through her children's guardianship rights, in combination with his own shares to create a new power block that could resist any moves by Jason. In return, Drew promises to ensure that Willow and her children are financially protected, no matter what Michael's final decision is. Willow, though initially hesitant, has begun to see the benefits of this alliance. Not only for financial security but also for the chance to regain control over her life after months of feeling powerless. When she agrees to Drew's proposal, a new power struggle begins to take shape in Port Charles. Reactions from all involved parties have been swift and strong. Jason. Upon learning of this, Jason will have to handle Michael's estate, a heavy and complicated responsibility he never expected to take on. As the person Michael entrusted with his assets and responsibilities, Jason is walking a fine line between respecting the wishes of the man he considered a grandson and facing intense reactions from the Corinthos and Quartermain families. Every decision Jason makes is scrutinized, every move analyzed, and all his intentions are questioned by those who believe he is exploiting the situation. The trust Michael placed in Jason is not just about money and assets but also about protecting his legacy and reputation, a responsibility Jason values more than any other task he has ever taken on. However, the complications surrounding Michael's estate are proving to be much more intricate than Jason initially imagined. It's not just tangible assets and shares in businesses but also secret agreements, risky investments, and even hidden debts that Michael never mentioned. Jason, being cautious and thorough by nature, has begun a meticulous investigation into every aspect of this estate, and what he's discovering is making him pause. While reviewing documents and financial records, Jason discovered a series of regular payments to an account in the Cayman Islands, an account set up under the name of a shell company with no clear links to Michael or any of his businesses. These payments began about 6 months before Michael left Port Charles and continued right up until he transferred the assets to Jason. Each payment was substantial, and there was no explanation in Michael's records for their purpose. It seemed that in recent months, Michael had made a series of questionable financial transactions, transferring money through offshore accounts, investing in businesses Jason had never heard of, and even making large payments to individuals of unknown identity. This triggered alarm bells in Jason's mind, who had always known Michael to be a smart and cautious businessman. These actions seemed out of character for Michael, making Jason wonder if something more serious was going on. In addition to the suspicious financial transactions, Jason also discovered that Michael had purchased property in South America under a false name, had made secret trips to Europe without Willow or their children. And there was even evidence suggesting he had met secretly with individuals linked to the international underworld. All of this was not like the Michael Jason knew, a man who was honest, straightforward, and valued family above all else. The new shock began to form as Jason connected the dots and developed a troubling hypothesis: Michael could be in trouble. A kind of trouble serious enough to prompt him to transfer his assets to Jason and leave Port Charles. Perhaps Michael was being threatened or blackmailed, or even trying to protect his family from some threat. If this was the case, Michael's entrusting of his estate to Jason wasn't just a sign of trust but also a cry for help. Jason started looking into when Michael's unusual behavior had begun, trying to pinpoint what might have triggered these changes. He realized it all started after a business trip to Manhattan, where Michael had attended an international business conference. After that trip, Michael seemed to change, becoming more secretive, more tense, and starting questionable financial transactions. Jason wondered if something had happened on that trip, a meeting, a threat, or even a discovery, that had caused Michael to act this way. With this theory in mind, Jason began a secret investigation. He reached out to Spinelli to trace the origins of the suspicious financial transactions while also tracking the people Michael had been in contact with in the weeks before leaving Port Charles. Every new lead raised more questions than answers, and Jason began to worry that Michael might be in real danger. Spinelli, with his superior technological skills, discovered that the shell company receiving payments from Michael had links to a notorious international criminal organization, one that even Sunny had to tread carefully around. This raised Jason's concerns further that Michael might be caught up in something far beyond his control. Meanwhile, Jason was still under pressure from all sides. Willow and Drew were forming an alliance against him, Carly was demanding answers he couldn't provide, and Sunny was becoming increasingly suspicious of his motives. And through all of this, Jason had to continue supporting Sasha, who was carrying a child that could be Michael's. Carly, with her strong maternal instincts, had begun to sense that something was wrong with her son. She had tried repeatedly to contact Michael but only received brief, rare messages assuring her that he was fine. She turned to Jason, hoping he could offer more information, but Jason, not wanting to worry Carly, kept his suspicions to himself. However, Carly, with her keen intuition, could sense that Jason was hiding something, which only heightened her concern. Sunny, although initially respecting Michael's decision, had started to question the true motives behind the asset transfer. With his sharp business instincts and deep knowledge of the underworld, Sunny began investigating on his own, using his connections to learn more about Michael's recent activities. This put him in a potentially opposing position to Jason, who Sunny had always trusted unconditionally. Willow, hurt and angry by Michael's departure, found a strong ally in Drew. Together, they began scrutinizing Michael's assets and Jason's legal claim to them. Drew, as a member of the Quartermain family and a successful businessman, used his resources to challenge Jason's control over Michael's assets, especially his shares in ELQ. This created a legal battle that began to attract the attention of the local media, bringing the family's personal issues into the public spotlight. As Jason delved deeper into the mystery of Michael's estate, he began uncovering troubling connections to some new figures in Port Charles, people who had previously seemed unrelated to Michael but now appeared in his financial dealings. One of these figures was Victor, a new businessman from Europe, who quickly established a presence in the Port Charles business community. Jason discovered that Victor had met with Michael several times in the months before he left, and that Victor's real name was not what he claimed. Another suspicious figure was Elena, a beautiful and mysterious woman who had appeared in Port Charles around the time Michael began exhibiting strange behavior. Jason found out that Elena had received a large payment from one of Michael's secret accounts and that she was linked to the criminal organization Spinelli had identified. When Jason started following Elena, he discovered that she seemed to be keeping an eye on Willow and Michael's children, a discovery that heightened his concern for the safety of Michael's family. As Jason continued tracking these figures, he began to piece together a disturbing picture. Michael could be caught up in a much larger conspiracy than anyone in Port Charles could have imagined. A conspiracy involving money laundering, blackmail, and possibly even human trafficking, with powerful and dangerous figures from all around the world. Jason began to wonder if Michael had discovered something during his Manhattan trip, perhaps evidence of illegal activity involving some of his business partners or even a plot targeting the Corinthos or Quartermain families. Perhaps that was why Michael had decided to leave and transfer his assets to Jason, not because he was abandoning his responsibilities, but because he was trying to protect everyone by removing himself from the picture. But if that were true, Michael could be in real danger. And as Jason dug deeper into this mystery, he knew that his investigation could be drawing unwanted attention, not just from Willow and Drew, but from anyone who might be watching Michael. With every new clue, Jason became more determined to uncover the truth and protect Michael's legacy, not just because of the responsibility entrusted to him, but because of Michael's safety. And as he drew closer to the truth, Jason knew that he would have to face difficult and dangerous decisions. Decisions that could put him in direct conflict not only with Willow and Drew but with far more powerful and mysterious forces. As the story continues to unfold, GH fans are witnessing one of the most complex and intriguing mysteries in the show's history. And at the heart of it all is Jason Morgan, a man known for his loyalty and determination, who now faces the greatest challenge of his life, saving the man he considered a grandson from a threat he doesn't fully understand. As Jason continues his investigation, he knows that time is running out. If Michael is indeed in danger, every moment that passes could bring him closer to a fate Jason can't even imagine. And with pressure from all sides, Jason must find a way to balance protecting Michael and maintaining the stability of the estate he has been entrusted with. This is not just a story about money and power, but a story about loyalty, family love, and sacrifice. And as Jason continues his journey to uncover the truth, he knows that whatever lies ahead will forever change not only his life but the future of Port Charles as well.